StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to be a wolf. I am going to explain what that means. Why would you want to become a wolf? I'm going to explain it. And then we're going to get into this series. This is going to be an ongoing series here starting today. In a moment, first of all, I'm going to remind you of two things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation text message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. Once we start sending them again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. If you're a member of my text community, all you got to do, text me my number, which is 305-384-6894. And once you get that, once we start sending that message again, those of you who are in the texting community, you'll be getting that message straight to your phone. You will get more details later once we start sending it again, but I always keep announcing it because it is coming back. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. If you would like to work with me directly, if you would like to have me as your direct coach, if you know it's time for you to step your game up, for you to get the most out of your potential, squeeze all the juice out of your orange, metaphorically speaking, and go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can start working on your game with me as your direct coach in the process. And that link again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Now, on this topic of how to be a wolf, this is the first of what is going to be a 10. Yes, you heard it, 10-part series. So this and the next 9 episodes are going to be explaining the elements that will help you to become a wolf. First of all, let me explain what it means to be a wolf. Because again, why would a human being want to be a wolf? You might like it being a human. In a famous movie called Training Day, I think many of you are familiar with this movie. If you are not familiar with it, that's okay. I'm going to explain to you what part of the movie I'm referring to. And this is a movie that I did see back in the day when I used to actually watch television. The character played by Denzel Washington, I believe Denzel won an Oscar award for his performance in Training Day. I believe he did. And the movie is all about this this detective, or was he a detective? No, he was a narcotics cop. He was a street narcotics cop. So he just went around and found drug dealers and basically dealt with bumped heads with the drug dealers as a cop. That was Denzel Washington. He was like the head of the narcotics division. And he had a trainee named Jake Hoyt. I forget this guy's name, the actor's name, but his name in the movie was Jake Hoyt. And Jake had to do a training day with Denzel Washington. So he had to go to the narcotics department and do a training day with this particular cop. And Denzel just happens to be what Hoyt, who's this baby-faced white guy, finds out. It comes very early in the training day. He realizes that Denzel is actually a dirty cop. This guy does not play by the book, and he does some under-the-table things that he should not be doing as a police officer. He finds this out during early in the day when he's training with Denzel Washington. But there is a scene in the movie that even though Denzel was a dirty cop, there's a profound thing that he says at one point in the film when he's driving around with Jake Hoyt and explaining to him how, because Hoyt at one point starts to communicate to Denzel, hey, you're doing things that you aren't quite supposed to be doing. He doesn't say it in so many words, but Denzel realizes what this young cop is starting to notice, and Denzel starts to explain to him, well, listen, my job, and I'm paraphrasing, he's explaining to Hoyt, listen, my job is to go out here in the streets and catch these bad guys, these bad criminal guys who I have to deal with as a narcotics officer. And he refers to them as wolves. And that's the reason why I'm telling you to be a wolf. I'm not telling you to be a bad guy doing crime in the street. He goes on to say that if you want to protect the sheep, those are the everyday civilians who don't do crime, then you have to catch all the wolves. Those are the criminals out there who are doing bad things to the civilians. And that makes perfect sense. Then he goes on to say, Denzel goes on to say, to catch a wolf, you have to be a wolf. So he says to protect the sheep, you got to catch the wolves, and it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. And that's what I'm going to explain here today. You want to catch wolves. These are the people out there who may not be so nice. They are not so friendly. They do not have positive intentions, and they intend to hurt you or others who don't intend to hurt anybody. These people exist. And if you try to pretend like they don't exist, then you will become their victim or become their food, so to speak. So you need to know how to deal with these wolves. So in this 10-part series that's starting today, I'm going to explain to you the characteristics that you personally can personify, borrowed from our understanding of wolves. And if you don't have much understanding of wolves, that's okay, because in this 10-part series, I'm going to help you understand and how wolves are and how they operate. And developing and utilizing these traits will allow you to protect the sheep of the world. Those may be your friends, they may be your children, they may be your spouse, it may be your staff, it may be your community members, people, your neighbors. These are the sheep of the world. You want to be the type of person who can protect the sheep by knowing how to deal with the wolves. Or maybe if you are a sheep, maybe you learn to stop being one so you can stop being preyed on by the wolves. And if you happen to be one of these sheep, again, put yourself in a position to be able to deal with the wolves of life, because they do exist whether you want them to or not. That's the crux of everything we're going to talk about here over the next 10 parts, 10 episodes, is that wolves exist. And I just explained to you what I mean by a wolf. These are people who intend to do harm. They are not upstanding. They are not doing things by the book, and they are willing to get down and dirty to get what they want, even if it means violating the rights of another person. These people exist. If you want to act like they don't, then you'll be their victims. I would suggest that you accept that they exist and you learn how to deal with them by knowing how to be a wolf so you can deal with wolves. Because wolves stay out of the way of other wolves. They go and find sheep that they can attack, because that's a much easier victory than attacking another wolf. Because you might die. A wolf attacking a wolf might die. Either one of them might die. But a wolf attacking the sheep, you're probably going to survive and win and eat pretty well. So that's what we're talking about here today. I would suggest you be prepared to handle these folks rather than hoping that you never cross their path or that they never cross yours. It'll be much easier to do when you know how to be a wolf yourself. As I just told you what Denzel said in that movie, it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. One last thing I will say is that these points are directed. Generally, I made this series with males in mind. I made this series with the men out there in mind, the males in my audience, although the ladies who are listening to this, you can use these as well, with a few exceptions that I will explain. Point number one, topic once again today is how to be a wolf. Again, this is going to be a 10-part series. Point number one, sharpen your verbal communication skills. Now, wolves, actual wolves, the animals, don't talk. So this is one where I'm humanizing the wolf. This is your ability to speak, get your point across, argue or debate if necessary, and to understand what other people are saying or trying to say when they are making their point. Communication is not just you getting your point across, it's also understanding somebody else's point, even if they are kind of shaky at making their point. High-level leaders in any profession or business must be excellent communicators. You cannot just be good at the job and be a leader. Any of you who's ever worked at a job and you were just good at doing the job, you probably couldn't ascend to a leadership position just by doing the job well. You had to exhibit some leadership skills as well as job competency. I remember when I was working at McDonald's as a senior in high school, one of our coworkers, we all started working there at the same time because we were working at a new McDonald's that had just opened in the mall. And it was at Plymouth Meeting Mall, in Plymouth Meeting, PA. And one of our coworkers was named Cecil. And while we would all be in the back, Cecil would be back there with us. We'd be back on the back line. So we weren't on the front line taking orders from customers. We were on the back line making burgers and putting the burgers in the warmers and stuff like that. Filet of fish, burgers, Big Macs, etc. And there's about 4 or 5 of us who were working on that back line. And we would just spend the whole shift just playing around, joking, doing fun, silly, stupid stuff that 18 and 17-year-old kids do. And Cecil would be back there with us, but he would laugh sometimes if we did something funny, but he wasn't actually doing the funny stuff. He would look at us and see us and laugh to himself, but he kind of, for the most part, stayed to himself while we were back there joking. And Cecil eventually, by his diligence and good work and I guess demeanor of not being one of the jokesters that we were, he got promoted to be what they call a key holder in management, which is like you got your main managers, you got your assistant managers, and then underneath them you got the key holders, and then underneath them you got the regular employees. So me and my friends in the back who just played around all the time, we were regular employees, and Cecil got elevated to be a key holder, which meant he probably got a raise of about 25 cents per hour. And it also meant that if one of the regular workers on the front line talking to a customer had an issue, like, hey, I need someone to do a refund for me, or I need you to open a register because I got to get some extra money. I closed it and I owe this person $1. Cecil had a key that would allow him to push some buttons in the computer to do a refund or open a register, et cetera. So he had a little bit extra responsibility and I guess you can say power because of this. And I'm bringing all that up to say that Cecil was able to be promoted to I guess what you can call a leadership position, even though he exhibited no leadership qualities. I don't think I ever heard Cecil talk the entire time I worked with him. I think me and him worked together there for maybe 3 to 6 months. I don't remember hearing this guy speak, not one time. And what I'm saying here is this is a violation of the rule. In most environments, at high-level professional environments, if you're really good at the job, but you never exhibit any leadership skills, i.e. communicating, you are not getting promoted, even if you're really good at the job. Cecil would not this couldn't happen to him if he was working in some corporate environment. And McDonald's is technically corporate, but not in, you know what I mean, like career corporate, not like working at McDonald's, which is not, I don't think Cecil still works there. And so maybe he don't, maybe he runs a McDonald's these days. Maybe he does. The whole point here, folks, is high level leaders got to be excellent communicators. Just being good at the work is not enough. Because the leader's most important job is not doing stuff, but communicating the vision and keeping everybody else on the same page. That's the job of the leader. It's not just being good at the job. Because when you're a leader, often you aren't even doing the job as much anymore as you were when you were just a worker. Now you're doing other stuff. You've elevated to doing other things. So sharp verbal communication skills, folks, will save you a lot of resources when it comes to getting things done, because there are many tangential benefits to it, such as when you can inspire and motivate other people, they can do stuff that now you don't need to do. When you can sell other people on doing things for you so that you don't have to do them, that's what a leader is able to do. Is this true? Of course it is. The better you are at, communicating, the less you will need to use your physical muscles to move forward or advance. Now think about, I'll give you another example. In a church, for example, a church pastor who's a really good speaker, he's really good at oratory, he can get a bunch of the members of the congregation to donate more money than they expected to donate just because he gave a fiery sermon that day at church. So he's getting money for the church without him having to go out and break his back and give blood, sweat, and tears in order to make the money. All he did was give a good speech. His communication skills made the money. And a lesser speech or a lesser speaker might only be able to get half the money out of the congregation that the great speaker was able to get out of the congregation. So this is an example of how powerful communication skills can help get things done for you without you having to do them yourself. And the better you are at communicating, again, the less you have to use your physical muscles to move yourself forward or to advance. Now, as I already told you, wolves don't actually talk. I think all of you understand that. Wolves do not speak, but they do have forms of communication. All right, wolves do communicate. They just don't use words like us. This is why in a wolf pack, all the wolves know who the leader is and they know who the leader is not, because there's communication happening, again, just different ways than how we do it. Point number 2, topic once again today is how to be a wolf, part of our series. Number 2, make yourself capable of physical violence, at least to the point of being able to defend yourself from someone else who is also capable. I'm taking a sip of water because I want that point to sink in. And remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about being a wolf. And this is one of the reasons why, ladies who are listening to this, I told you that I'm directing this at the males. Because ladies, I'm not suggesting that you go out there and be able to box. Okay, maybe you need to get a man and make sure he's capable of boxing. All right, buy him some boxing lessons as a Christmas present. So you want to make yourself capable, man, of physical violence. I mean this in a literal sense. This is not a metaphor. Make yourself capable of physical violence. And when I say capable of violence, I mean at least to the point that you can defend yourself from someone else who is capable of physical violence. Doesn't mean you got to be Mike Tyson, but you better be able to deal with Mike Tyson. That's my point. This one I mean specifically, as I said, for the men. You want to, and ladies, you want to have a man in your life who follows this point. Okay, so if you're not going to get out there and physically fight, which I do not suggest. I don't like seeing women physically fighting unless you happen to be a boxer. If you're not that, don't be out there fighting. Get a man in your life who can fight. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And you just need to have access to some man who can fight. And maybe that man is just the police. All right, the police are capable of physical violence. Is this true? Yes, it is. The fact of the matter is, folks, there are wolves out there in the world who will come up against you for one reason or another. All right, and men, I'm talking specifically to you all. Ladies, I mean this as well, when maybe it won't come to physical blows, but here's the thing that men understand. Anytime you're in a direct engagement with another man, and I mean in person, maybe it's one thing you're talking on the phone or the internet because you may never see this person in person, but when you're in an in-person engagement with another man, every man understands this, that there is an undertone being communicated that if this conversation does not go well, it could come to physical violence. And are you capable of dealing with it if it does? That's the question. And this is the point that I'm making here right now. Point number 2. There are wolves out there in the world who you are going to deal with. And they will try to, again, they will come up against you for one reason or another. Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe something you said or something you did. And they will try to take advantage of you in some way, shape, or form. This will happen. Again, you can't stop it. The more capable you are of hurting them, the less likely they will try to hurt you. Simple as that. This is a simple fact of life, and you can ignore this at your own peril if you want to. Speaking to the men, this means you need to be able to physically fight and physically defend yourself against physical violence from another man. Is this clear? Again, for the ladies, maybe you can carry some mace. You can take some self-defense classes. I know some ladies who do Krav Maga. You can take some boxing lessons. You can get a license to carry a gun, or just have a man on speed dial and you can call him when you need him. But either way, you need something. All right, violence is a reality of life, ladies and gentlemen. It may not seem a reality of life because there's not a lot of violence happening in your direct world, that doesn't mean it's not possible. Violence is a reality of life. And if you're going to be a wolf is always prepared for violence. Doesn't mean they need to use it, but you need to be prepared for it. If there was an actual wolf in the room where you are right now, do you believe that wolf is capable of hurting you? Okay. All right. That's what it means to be a wolf. A wolf means you are capable of inflicting violence. Doesn't mean you will, but you are capable. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to be a wolf. Number 3, practice and sharpen your focus. Wolves in the wild need to be focused, as they need to be aware of possible threats in the form of predators or traps or humans, and they need to be focused enough to go find food when they need it. All right, a wolf can't afford to not be focused. Human beings, because of this relatively safe world that we live in, we can basically jerk off all day doing absolutely nothing, being completely unfocused, not locked in on our goals, and getting nothing of consequence done, and we don't face any immediate consequences for that. Wolves face immediate consequences for a lack of focus. You can end up in a wolf trap and end up getting killed and be your head up on some hunter's wall in a cabin somewhere. You could end up getting eaten and killed by a fellow predator who's just decided that you're in the way and they want to kill you, not because they want to eat you, maybe just because they want to kill you so that you are not competition with them for food. Maybe you'll miss out on a possible meal for yourself, which means you're going to go another 3 days starving, and your pups might die of starvation because you weren't able to hunt and eat food because you weren't paying attention. You were looking at your damn phone, and a whole lot of other things that can happen to a wolf if they're not paying attention. Wolves cannot afford to not be focused. Animals, period, especially in the wild, cannot afford to not be focused because their life is literally hanging in the balance of how much they can stay focused, whether they're the prey or the predator. You see, if the prey is not focused, you just get eaten by a predator rather. If a predator is not focused, you might get killed by a fellow predator. You might end up, again, hunted and killed by a hunter, or you might end up just missing out on a meal, which means you starve to death. Either way, you lose your life. Humans, again, those of you listening to me, you don't have these immediate consequences of a lack of focus. But I'm telling you, to be a wolf, you need to start acting as if you do. You need to start conducting yourself as if these matter. So wolves need to be able to find food or move themselves in a position of safety when under attack. And regardless of the reason, if a wolf loses focus, again, a wolf loses life. I just explained that to you. You humans, listen to this, you don't face this kind of consequence. And you have been brainwashed and hypnotized into losing all of your focus. Many of you give half of your day to things that have nothing to do with what you're supposed to be doing. You're just completely unfocused and happy about it. I can't tell you how many times per day I see a human being walking around, their head craned down, looking at their phone, and don't even realize what's happening around. They don't even see who's walking past them. Somebody can just walk by and shoot you right in the head, and they had the gun out the whole time they were walking up to you from 30 feet away. You didn't see them because you're looking at your damn phone. Many of you are living your life in a state of sleepwalking. You're sleepwalking. You're in zombie mode. And many of these people I see looking down at their phone, they also, on top of that, they got 2 earbuds in their ears, so you can't even hear what's happening around you. So somebody could be running up on you from behind. You don't even hear it. You don't even hear their footsteps because you got 2 earbuds in your ear. You're completely unaware of everything that's going on in your environment. You can't hear, you can't see, you have no idea what might be right in front of you. You might be walking into a pile of dog shit, don't even see it because you're looking at your phone. And you walk right into some trouble because you're completely oblivious to the situation around you. I'm using the phone and earbuds as an example, but people live their lives like this. Metaphorically, they live their lives like this. Now, even though I'm not wishing harm on you individuals who are out there unfocused, some of you might be walking around listening to my show right now. Here's what I suggest to you. Put 1 earbud in. When I walk around with earbuds, I never walk around with 2 earbuds in my ear. Never. I will put 1 in so I can hear what's going on. And I don't have it up so loud that I'm not aware of what else is happening around me. Anytime you see me with 2 earbuds in, I'm working out, which means I'm already physically activated. I'm in an enclosed space like in a gym, or I'm outside running. I'll run with 2, what I'll wear, like Power Beats earbuds in my ear, but I'm running. And first of all, I'm running, so if someone wanted to attack me, I can run away from them if I wanted to. And secondly, if somebody attacked me and I couldn't run away from them, I'm physically capable of defending myself. But other than that, you'll not see me walking around like I'm in a suit right now and you're listening to this. You're not going to see me walking around with 2 earbuds in. I need to be aware of what the hell is happening around me. And by the way, on that second point, when I mentioned physical violence, I don't necessarily mean you need to be able to fight. You can go get yourself a gun. All right, can a gun inflict violence? Yes. Can it inflict damage on another person? Yes, it can. It can kill a person if it needs to. If you get the right gun and you hit somebody in the right spot, it can be over. So that's a way of defending yourself as well. But you got to be aware. If you're unaware, you might have a gun, not even be able to get to it. Somebody shot you first. You didn't even see him coming. Because you're looking at your phone, checking your email with 2 earbuds in. You don't even hear what's happening around you. If people are across the street yelling, yo, this guy's about to shoot you. You ain't hear it. Now you're dead. because you want to check your Facebook. So make sure you are aware, ladies and gentlemen. Again, does a wolf walk around unaware, oblivious to what's happening in their world? No, they can't afford to. Now, again, I suggest you not be one of these oblivious individuals, because this is a habit that will hurt you one time, and one time is enough. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is how to be a wolf. Again, it's a 10-part series. You want to be a wolf. You want to catch the wolf, you got to be a wolf. Point number one, sharpen your verbal communication skills. Be able to get your point across and be able to understand another person's point, even if they are poor at getting their point across, still understand what they're trying to say. Number two, make yourself capable of physical violence to the point of, at least to the point of being able to defend yourself from someone else who is. And if that means you need to learn how to fight, you need to learn self-defense, you need to take a class or two, or you need to get yourself a gun, maybe a combination of all of the above, do it, because wolves do not allow themselves to be attacked. And number three, practice and sharpen your focus. Wolves are always focused in the wild. Wild animals are always focused. If they're not focused, they die. Humans are not focused. You don't get a penalty. I want you to start conducting yourself as if there's a penalty for not being focused, because there is a penalty. You're just not feeling it. It just happens slowly rather than happening immediately like it does with the animals. Tomorrow we're going to part 2 of the series. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Have me as your direct coach. Let's get to work on your mindset, your strategy, systems, and your accountability for full implementation for performance, consistency, and results. That's WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.